Good morning, Bangalore. I like that. Let's do that again. Good morning, Bangalore. Much better. I love it. I love it. Hey, I just want to thank you, Scott, for like the perfect setup for this session that I'm about to deliver. It's titled Why Mobile Performance Matters. So as you heard from Scott, the challenge nowadays is that mobile sites, mobile apps, even web apps, right? They take a long time to load, 22 seconds. That's an industry stat. And that users actually abandon websites, mobile apps, after only 2 seconds. Again, thank you for the perfect setup. So just a little bit about myself. I was actually here 8 years ago in Bangalore, and I was determined to come here and speak in front of you one of these days, and I finally made it. So happy to be here. I used to work at I used to be all about the cloud. I used to work for Salesforce, and I was very passionate about developers back then. But I actually cut my teeth, started my career doing development, doing Java, using Struts as one of the frameworks that Scott mentioned. So I'm kind of dating myself a little bit back, a little there. But here at Akamai, my job is to really inspire developers, educate you guys on how to build the best possible experience for your companies, right? And part of that is about performance, and that is the topic of my talk. So, clicker not working. I'll go over here. So before I begin, I want to share with you a mobile app that one of my developer evangelists built over the last couple of months. And I think it's a pretty awesome app, so check it out. It's called Urban Crawl. Boy, it's taking a while. I think we're going to have to bail. Plan B. No, the point of me bringing that up is really, I think myself as being a pretty patient person. But when it comes to mobile apps, when it comes to using apps and website on my phone, I just gotta have it instantly, within 2 seconds or less. And so, to illustrate the importance of patience, I brought along a little friend named Goldie. And research have discovered, I don't know how they did this, that goldfish actually have an attention span of 9 seconds. That's pretty amazing. I think I'm going to be standing close to my laptop. But what about human beings? What is our attention span? This is me here, and these are my two developer evangelists, Goku and Aman, both of whom are here today. If you don't know them, they are rock star mobile developers. Goku is an iOS developer, and Aman's an Android developer. Both of them are part of some of the largest mobile developer groups actually anywhere in the world. So if you get a chance to meet them, definitely stop by and say hello. So fish here versus human beings. Guess who has the longer attention span? You're exactly right. A couple years ago, Microsoft did a research with 2,000 participants, and they discovered that human beings, as a matter of fact, have an attention span of 8 seconds. And it dropped precipitously since the invention of, guess what? The mobile phone. And so the big takeaway here is that you all, including myself, have a shorter attention span than a goldfish. That's pretty incredible. And by the look of some of you here in the audience, I believe your attention span is starting to wane. I think that the time span is going to actually decrease after this keynote. So, which brings us to the 2-second rule. Again, perfect setup for, thanks to Scott here. So, DoubleClick from Google did a research a couple of years ago that states that after actually 3 seconds, 53% of your users will abandon your website or your mobile app after 3 seconds. And in Akamai, where we power up to 1/3 of the internet, we recommend that you strive for the 2-second mark. There's this huge curve that rises pretty quickly. After 2 seconds, it starts to drop, and then it starts to flatten out. So aim for the 2-second mark. Which takes me to 3 steps in which you can use to improve your mobile performance. And this is critical here, because it's not just like do it once, but it's a continuous cycle of measuring, of optimizing, and validating that your mobile performance is getting better and that you're making improvements. Now let's start with a speedometer. I was just Googling here an hour ago. What is the speed limit here in Bangalore? Actually, it probably doesn't even matter, right? With the traffic the way it is. The speed limit here is actually 60 kilometers per hour, maybe 50 in certain areas. But again, it doesn't matter here in Bangalore. But what instrument do you use in order to figure out like your speed, right? Your speedometer. And you have other devices in your car or your motorbike to let you know exactly how your car or your vehicle is performing. Which takes us to the first step in terms of understanding your mobile performance, which is to measure. And you can do this in a number of different ways. The first recommendation I would make to anyone, and this is I think new to a lot of you. Like many of you will measure GPU usage, measure how much, like the footprint of your app, but many of you are not measuring the performance of your mobile app end to end. It is our recommendation that you think about measuring things inclusive of the delivery of your mobile app, including network, cellular traffic, and so on and so forth. It needs to be comprehensive. I mean, after all, you spend all this time building your mobile app, and for it to run very well on your desktop, it's a good thing. But for your end users, if they're not getting the same type of performance, guess what? They're going to abandon your mobile app. Second thing, identify the performance KPIs most relevant to you. Off the top of my head, there are like 20 different KPIs that you can measure. Pick a handful of them. Think about like the time to first byte. That first byte that gets delivered to your client's device, or the time to first render of an object on the screen. That's a really important metric. Again, there's a whole discipline around this in terms of web performance, mobile performance. Not all of us need to be experts at this, but my hope in speaking to all of you is that at least consider some of these things as you go about measuring, understanding your mobile app performance. And the third thing in terms of measuring performance is choosing your testing methodology. You can use tools like web page tests, which are synthetic type of tests that just pound your website or your mobile app, and you get a certain metric from that. And then there's also real user monitoring, where you inject a JavaScript into your client's device to understand precisely like when they get the first byte and so on and so forth. So really important to understand, to actually understand and then test test the measurement on your client's devices. And I actually asked a friend of mine, which ones of these testing methodology would he recommend? He said both. If you can afford it, do both. Synthetic testing, pretty affordable, pretty cheap, and I don't know what happened here. Do you all recognize this bike? I saw a few in the parking lot. I find these bikes like super fascinating. I'm in the taxi cab, and these bikes are just like zooming right past me. With these bikes, understanding how quickly how slow or quickly they perform, like the next thing you want to do is optimize this performance. And you can do that by changing the gas, filling with a carburetor, changing the tires. There's so many different ways in which you can tune your motorbike. And then which takes me to optimizing the performance of your mobile app. And there are a couple of things you can do to optimize your mobile app. There's a handful of things. There's many more that you can do, but these are the 5 that I would recommend that you think about right now. Distributed DNS. Many of us are not using that, and that is actually a single point of failure for the delivery of web apps and mobile apps. The second thing is CDN. How many of you here utilize a CDN today? Good, a fair number of you. CDN addresses the issue with latency. Basically, what this means is that there is this physical limitation with regards to delivering content from the server to the client device. And the farther the farther the distance, the longer it takes to load. So it's really important to find a CDN that works within your locale of your customers in order to deliver the content as quickly as possible. And then use optimized protocols. I don't want to get into that since time is running out. Optimize images. A huge chunk of a page weight, we call it page weight, is actually images. Think about optimizing your images to reduce page weight. And then loading of assets, right? Doing it asynchronously. A lot of your mobile apps have ads, and you don't want any of those ads to block the loading of your mobile app. It's really important to pay attention to those scripts. Which takes me to my last point, which is to validate. Once you've measured, once you've optimized, it's time to validate and make sure that sorry, I'm having trouble with the clicker. With validation, you want to do A/B testing, understanding the performance before and after you've made the optimization. And the last piece about the validation that many of you may not consider is the impact on the revenue. And there are tools that allow you to do this today. So, in summary, what does this all mean? My main takeaway for all of you when thinking about mobile performance and why it matters is that you have to build a great digital experience for your customers. Otherwise, they're going to abandon. You need to measure, you need to optimize, you need to validate. The last thing I want to leave you with, right? And when it comes to Goldfish, they're actually smarter than we are. Thank you very much.